Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Thought Leaders. I'm your host, Chris Shang, and we bring in various experts from different fields of expertise. Today, we have Quratulain Wahab, who is founder and CEO of Ace Recruitment Global. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, tell us a little bit about Ace Recruitment. What do you guys do? How do you differentiate? And what kind of companies do you work with?
Sure. Let me share a bit about my journey. Um, Talking about Ace Recruitment Global, it is all about redefining HR business solutions. We provide HR services to clients from all industries, IT, engineering, healthcare, the list goes on. Our goal is to empower businesses to excel through their people by optimizing workforce potential and ensuring sustained success.
Got it. And is there certain size of companies that you guys work with? I know you mentioned that you're pretty vertical agnostic, but is there any certain size of companies or locations?
Not really. We are working globally, and doesn't matter what the size of the company is, and doesn't matter in which business domain they are working. We are providing the human resource services to all kind of companies.
Okay. And I'd love to kind of get your take on, kind of how the industry has evolved and changed over the past few years and what you're expecting in the next few years to come. But before we do that, we'd love to kind of touch upon your background, and just kind of your expertise in the HR field. And how did you end up in this space to begin with?
Sure, I would love to share a bit about my journey. In school, I was always eager to take charge. While I didn't always top my class academically, but I found myself in a leadership role because of my knack for helping classmates with their projects and presentations. And my peers and friends always turned to me for ideas and guidance. Maybe because I was always a people's person. My teachers and parents always encouraged me to participate in everything from debates to writing competitions. And they always emphasized that participation itself mattered more than the outcome. So I would say that as a student, I was fearless, never worried about the future. Some might say careless, but I was just not worried about my academics. I always noticed my fellow students were under immense pressure to prove themselves through good results, which often led to them to losing their confidence and creativity. And I was like, this is wrong. This needs to change. People need to love what they learn in order to make great future leaders. And I would say that my mother actually played a vital role in my professional grooming. She's been a school teacher professionally and has taught me the importance of sharing knowledge and helping others. And this early experience in helping my peers instilled a sense of responsibility and inclusiveness in me. And this is how I started my professional career. My journey began very early when I was still in high school. I got a job to train students in communication and computer skills, which gave me a lot of confidence. And that led me to a customer support role at a BPO. There, I quickly advanced to become a team leader and later explored various areas like quality assurance, project management, and human resource management. These experience coupled with my degree in MBA in HR paved the way for where I currently am. I work with diverse companies globally, from a VoIP application startup in Denmark to Silicon Valley based SaaS companies, and finally to my role in Dubai, where I recruited education consultants and optimized student outreach plans. So each step of my career has taught me valuable lessons about resilience, creativity, teamwork, and leadership, like traits that are essential for any successful professional. And after coming from Dubai for like 3 years, I became a mother of two beautiful sons. The elder one is 6, and the younger is turning 3 next month. So for them, I took a career break. During this time, I worked remotely as a freelance recruiter for different clients, but I always wanted to build something of my own. This was when Ace Recruitment Global was born. Our mission is to bridge the gap between talent supply and demand, ensuring our clients spanning across various industries and locations secure top tier swiftly within 3 to 5 business working days.
Got it. Yeah, I think like obviously shifting from working in a corporate environment to then starting your own business is vastly different. What were some of the things that you did or did not expect as part of running your own business? Obviously you wear a lot of different hats, and has there been like a skill set that you've picked up that you have a strong emotional disposition towards, either you loved or hated, as a result of that?
Well, that's a great question. I have experienced that one common mistake is in that I have found it's like a gap in the industry right now, is that the companies are not aligning their HR strategies with their overall business goals. And HR should be a strategic partner, not just an administrative function. To avoid this, we need to ensure that HR leaders are involved in business planning and decision-making process, regularly reviewing and adjusting HR strategies to align with evolving business objectives. Like I remember when we helped a client in US, they needed to scale quickly, but had a very bad attrition rate, actually a high attrition rate. We conducted a thorough analysis, revamped their recruitment process, and introduced a robust onboarding program. Within 6 months, their attrition rate dropped by 40%, and they successfully scaled their team, becoming one of the leading players in their field.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. And so I guess like the question is too, like, when you have started Ace Recruitment, what was the process like for you to start acquiring new clients? Is it mostly referrals? Did you have to build out some kind of like go-to-market motion on that? How were you looking at growing that business?
Well, mostly we are getting referrals. The very first client that I got was in US, and since I was working mostly with the IT companies, I had my expertise for hiring at most of the IT companies in US, especially in the Silicon Valley based startups. So they referred me to other clients after their experience. And the side from Dubai, since I was working there for some time, I started getting clients from them. But yes, now we are mostly relying on LinkedIn recruitment and LinkedIn platforms to just market about about our company and about our services. But I would still say that clients or companies or the decision makers, they always want to experience or would believe in us when they have listened from others, when other people are sharing their experiences with them. So this is always coming from referrals, a lot of referrals.
Got it. Got it. And is it different when you're working with somebody in a client capacity versus when you're internally within the organization? If so, like what are those main differences?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question again?
Yeah, like how is it different working with clients where you're working with multiple companies perhaps at the same time versus working just for specifically internally for an organization?
Well, I want to say that there is, it's not actually challenging because we are now in the age of AI. We have so many tools and programs to take care of everything. We have a lot of databases, like for every country, like in Dubai, they have a completely different business models. And then in US, we have different models. So depending on the business model of every country, we are taking care of that accordingly. When we have application tracking systems in place, when we have databases, when we have recruiters and the group of all HR consultants working globally for us, we really don't find it challenging. And when we are, it totally depends that when there is a position or there is a requirement from the client, we just take care of that right there and then. And as I said, that within 3 to 5 business days, we are able to provide them with the candidates.
Got it. And what do you feel like is the main, I guess, like the secret sauce or secret ingredient for you to do it so expeditiously, but also to focus on lowering attrition?
Yeah. Well, this is the, I would say, a very common thing that we have been experiencing. I remember that when we were working with this client, and the attrition rate that they had was that most of the companies who are actually new, or we say startups, they obviously do not have employee engagement programs, or they do not have the policies in place, and people who are joining them do not really trust them so easily. So there are many people who are leaving the company and joining every day. So attrition rate is actually when they are leaving the company in a very short time period. So business leaders like us, we help them to streamline their processes. And attrition rate is the first thing that being HR business partners, we help them with. That they need to create their HR policies, and they need to engage with their employees in a way that they should feel the part of the culture of the company, and they should be feel motivated, and they should be included. There should be a lot of inclusiveness, I would say, should, like, when you're motivating, yes, there you are actually expecting them to become inclusive, but at the same time, you are maybe not taking the feedbacks from them. You may not align with their career role. So this is very important, that at the same time, when you are talking about the company goals and company or business expectation from them, you should also take care of their career goals and their experiences.
Got it. And what are some tangible like action items that you implement in order for that to happen? Like, what are you coming into an organization such as that where they have high attrition? What are you assessing and what are you telling them to put into place? Like, what is an example of, a motivational lever that you can put into an organization that's going to help them, or like even, that feedback loop of listening and helping the employees with their career path? Like, how do you get that to leadership, the information and the intelligence in order for them to make a change? And then how do you go about, like, what kind of change are you suggesting?
Yeah, as I said, that there are two things, right? We are working simultaneously on both things. One is the company expectation and companies' goals and their future plans. And at the same time, the candidate or the employee, they also have their own plans in future. So it is very important that they both are aligned. And in order to do that, we actually have to assess their skills, their career aspirations, their experiences, and we have to make sure that they know what they're doing and what is company expecting from them. We do make job descriptions, but I have experienced this, that a lot of companies are not translating their expectations in their job description. It is more likely just copy pasting from, you can say, Google or some previous job descriptions. But when you are creating a job description, I have experience as HR manager that first you need to actually, the step I would say is, like, number one is to assess if we really need some employee or the position that we are going to fill in, we actually need them. And second is to evaluate like whoever the candidate who is going to fill in the position, if the person should be this much qualified. Like we do say that, the person should have bachelor's degree, or they should have this much experience or have this much expertise. But do we really need that? This so being the company or the employer, this is very important that first we assess our job descriptions, and after that, once they have joined the company, we then translate or communicate with them that this is what the company's expectations are, because we have done all the assessment before them to join the company. Now we want them to bring in the profitability or productivity in the way we expect them. So uh, the when we talk about attrition rate, you will actually experience that most of the employees or the companies will leave in the duration of 3 to 6 months. And why is that? Because in the start of their time when they're joining the company, they don't feel motivated, they don't feel connected with the company. So that's how more and more people leave the company, and then we are dealing with this attrition rate. So higher the attrition rate, higher is the company employer branding is getting affected, because when they are going in the market, they will obviously share on their social media, or they will share their experiences with other people in their circle, that this is how we never feel motivated. Even if the company is good, the projects or the products are good, but if they were not able to retain them, then obviously the attrition rate would be high.
Yeah. I mean, going deeper than the attrition rate, right, I think like we've had a few HR leaders on here, and part of that, it depends, I guess, like on the seniority of the role too. Like, are you primarily looking for entry level, mid level, or senior leadership?
That totally depends on the company's requirement. If we are looking for like, when mostly we are hiring for IT companies based in US or UAE or UK, and they are mostly looking for experts, and the kind of job requirements that we get are expert levels. Whether it's full stack developers, they are mean or mean stack developers, or they're quality insurance engineers, or they are maybe the back-end developers only, or the front-end developers. So we are mostly looking for the experts, and expert means more than 5 to 6 years of experience. And mostly they are at least on the team leader role, or they are managing the department.
Got it. And so I'm asking that because I think there's a big difference when I've spoken with HR leaders around finding people who are experts in their field versus being a leader in that field, meaning they're managing teams and things like that. It's almost like two different skill sets. And so, yeah, I'm curious, is like, how are you differentiating just hiring somebody that's super technical, that's an expert in their field, versus somebody that is going to be a leader in that technical field? And how is it different? Because I think a lot of the times too, it's not just on the job description or the employer, it's also on figuring out who is the best candidate as an employee, because a lot of times you get an overabundance of applications, and and a lot of times the employee or the applicants are not necessarily reading thoroughly through, and you probably have a good chunk of people that actually aren't even qualified for the position, that just are clicking buttons and spending, so it's making your job a lot more difficult. But what are some of the things that you've seen in terms of like candidates that do stand out, that get your attention? What are they doing that's different? And so there's a few questions in there, but like, what are number one would be, starting off with just how do you look for the different traits, or what are the different traits that you're looking for as in somebody that's an expert in a technical field versus somebody that is an expert, but also you're expecting them to lead or manage a team of experts in that field?
Well, when we are talking about leading the team, obviously, you know that from the title of the job, you can understand that someone who has experience in leadership skills. We have seen that there are a lot of people in the industry. It's been like they have been working in the industry for more than a decade, maybe. But if they don't have a certain experience of leading a team, obviously there are certain tasks when you are there are certain tasks assigned to a leader or the team leader or the manager when they have been appointed as the team leader. They are supposed to assign the tasks to the team. They are supposed to take the reports and obviously make the reports for the management as well. So this is the first thing for any leadership or managerial role. Doesn't matter what their experience is. All what matters is if they actually have some kind of previous experience. And if we say that, let's say for the first time, if we are going to hire someone as a leader and they do not have experience in that field, or they never had the leadership skills previously, then we might have to either suggest them to go for a leadership maybe internship, or maybe just join the team with the manager and just work together as and see and assess them, like how they progress in the role. So that is the first time when we can say that yes, we have seen those leadership skills in their personality, and they can be promoted or they can be assigned the leadership roles. Other than that, it totally depends on the client or the employer who are going to hire them. If they want to hire maybe someone with having 3 years of experience, if they want them to be the manager of the company, we as recruiters have to just do that. But talking about IT, I would say the best part about information technology industry is that really doesn't matter what the experience is, what the background is, or what your qualification or education is. If you have skills, you are good to go. You will be hired. And if you are able to actually bring the profitability to the company, and you are making good programs or making good applications for clients and working on their project successfully. So it really doesn't matter what experience do you have or what background do you have.
Got it. Okay. And for rounding up on time, I wanted to kind of get an understanding around what you think about, especially as if you're hiring for the IT space, like how is AI impacting that? Especially as part of the assessment process. I feel like a lot of the assessing for technical people is somewhat binary, but how do you start taking that to consideration? Like, are you seeing that certain companies, or like are hires going to be required to have like, query skills and leveraging AI to make their roles more efficient? Are they being asked to do more things and take on more responsibilities by leveraging AI? How are you seeing those roles evolve or change in terms of what the expectation is? And are you seeing candidates actually spending the time and adding that to their resumes as a key differentiator?
See, when I talk about AI or integration of AI in HR, this is very important to understand that we cannot totally rely on AI. Like we do have application tracking systems, and if there is an applicant who is ranking, like let's say top applicants, we might have to. We can consider them obviously for the interview, but this totally depends on the outcome of the interview, that if we can really hire them. Since we obviously know that now AI is not only common or in businesses, but also being used by applicants or professionals. Everyone knows about it. And like the chat GPT is, I would say, the most common tool right now being used to make CVs and resumes. So when an applicant is applying, like being an HR recruiter, and now I'm working globally, so I know that 80% of the applicants are actually creating their resumes using ChatGPT or Google. They just copy paste it and try to make it look like they're the right fit. So if our application tracking system is saying that they are the top applicant, and they have just tried to make it like looking perfectly fine, we obviously cannot find it out unless we talk to them, we communicate with them, or we interview them. So I would say that we cannot totally rely on it, but yes, at the same time, we know that we are dealing with thousands and thousands of applications. Once the job is posted on LinkedIn or any job portals, we get a lot of applications. And in order to meet the deadline, it is very important for us to just shortlist the candidates. We have a pool of the talent in which we will be shortlisting candidates. It is like just like the sales funnel in the sales process, that if we have, for example, 1,000 applications, we will be shortlisting and we are left with 500 applications. And after 500 applications, when we are contacting them, obviously, over the call, we will know that this is not the right person, maybe because of their communication skills, or maybe because whatever they have mentioned on the resume, if we inquire them, if we assess them over the call, we know that they haven't mentioned something correctly. So that is the first thing where we can filter more resumes, we can vet the resumes, and we know that hardly we're left with like 100 resumes, let's say. From 100 resumes, then we'll be calling them and shortlisting them. So let's say we have conducted 50 interviews and we are left with 5 good candidates. So this is the whole process. You see that all those top applicants who were like leading the application tracking system, it was they were marked as like 5 stars, or they are fully competent and everything. But just after making one call, obviously we haven't met them in person, we haven't interviewed them, we just called them, and we know that they are not the right candidates for the company, for the employer. Because our company policy and Ace Recruitment's speciality is to give the right candidates, only the candidates that actually meet the criteria, rather than just providing junk resumes, and employers have to, again, give some time to shortlist and call and then interview the right person. So this is our, expertise, and this is where we stand, where we are different than others, that within 3 to 5 business days, we come up with the right candidate, and we share only the top applicants who we know are actually competent enough to consider for the role.
Got it. Okay. And then just last question here as we complete things, is, what do you imagine to be the challenges for other HR leaders in the next few years to come?
Well, as I talked about AI, um, we know that emotional intelligence is also the part of the human resource management system, because in the integration of AI and emotional intelligence at the same time is very important. We cannot just rely on AI. Our emotional intelligence is very important. AI helps us sift through data and trends, but it's the emotional intelligence that guides us to understand what makes a candidate truly tick. It's not just about skills on paper or in the resume. It's about finding the cultural fit that keeps team thriving. So artificial intelligence helps us streamline talent acquisition, making it faster and more efficient. But for instance, our AI-driven ATS can sift through thousands of resumes in minutes, identifying the best candidates based on the criteria. But we don't stop there. We have to combine this with the emotional intelligence to understand that candidates and employees are obviously human, so the human touch has to be there. So here comes the emotional intelligence. So it's about finding not just the most qualified person, but the right person who fits the company culture and values. And this approach has actually improved a lot of retention in my experience. And this is what I would suggest to the HR leaders, that they should actually take them at the same time. They should not totally rely on AI, but should also implement emotional intelligence.
Got it. And last thing on emotional intelligence is, how do you quantify emotional intelligence, or how do you screen for emotional intelligence?
Sorry, how do I, sorry, your voice is breaking up.
Yeah, how do you screen for emotional intelligence?
Okay, as I said that when we are calling them over the call, we know that whatever they have mentioned in their resume, this is not correct. Maybe when they have mentioned that, we have good communication skills. So when we are calling them for the first time, we know that they do not have good communication skills. So it's a red flag. And this is where we have the emotional intelligence to find out if the candidate is the right match. And secondly, when we meet them in person, we know that we are asking them if they have any experience, or how they can tell us about their leadership skills. Maybe if they have, obviously someone who has the experience would have a lot of stories to tell or experience to share with you. We can maybe find out more about their personality or their experiences by asking questions like, in your past experience, what was the time, when was the time when you felt most stressed, and what did you do to manage that stress? So these kind of questions and these kind of scanning techniques actually help us to integrate our emotional intelligence.
Got it. Okay. Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for taking the time today and sharing your expertise and your insights. It was super helpful.
Thank you so much for having me again, Chris.
Of course.